For although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to the little ones. In one of these days, Lucy Hawkins, the daughter of Stephen Hawking, gave an interview to the BBC network in which she was sharing one of the stories, one of the things that happened during a past 4 or 5 years ago. The incident was that her son was celebrating his 9th or 10th birthday, and they had this whole family get together with the family and friends and everyone. And because they were a scientific fraternity, there were all the scientists and everyone along with the children, their parents and everyone. And in this group, there was a friend of her son who came forward and asked Stephen Hawking, his grandfather of his friend, asked him this question: what will happen if I fall into the black hole? You know what it is. And hearing this question, all the scientists around were very interested to hear what Stephen Hawking would have to say about it. And everyone came around, and then he said, you will become like a spaghetti. No one understood. The children they were satisfied with the answer, and they went around. And the scientists were all started thinking about the physicality, about the physics about spaghetti and everything. And they couldn't make out what the real answer was. But the children were satisfied with the thing, because they understood. As we are right now, what is the answer? What does it mean? It means nothing. You will become a spaghetti, that's all. The problem is we overthink certain things. That is why we don't understand the fundamentals. What will happen if you fall into a black hole? Nothing. You will be dead, that's all. He says it in a different way. Children understood it very well. But the scientists were having a lot of discussion about it, and they didn't understand it. It is something in the same way that Jesus is telling today. Why the secrets of the kingdom is revealed only to the little ones. Actually, this passage follows immediately after the passage where Jesus is lamenting about the villages or the towns who were not able to receive his words or receive what he wanted to tell them. It is immediately after this he's saying this. He's saying this as a response to that. These people are not able to receive the message that I want to give to them because they are not like the little ones. Because the kingdom of God, as it will be again and again repeated in the whole gospel, it is for the little ones. That is why it is not surprising whenever Jesus would explain something about the kingdom of God, he will always use stories, parables. Like, what is the kingdom of God? Mustard seed. It can look very ridiculous. Mustard seed or a dove. What is it? For a learned wise man, it can be very childish. But that is what the kingdom of God is. Only a childlike person can understand the profundity of that thing. Because it's not that children don't ask questions, but the way they ask is different from the way we as believers sometimes doubt about our faith. The questions that we ask comes from a doubt. But the children ask questions from a way of seeking the answer, because of which they are open to the answers. And that is why they are humble when they ask the questions. They are meek, so they understand it. Sometimes we as learned and as much as all that we have gone through in our faith, we think we know everything. In spite of it, we don't understand anything. And that is why Jesus says the secrets of the kingdom are revealed to the little ones. That's why the secret is itself, the secret of this is that we also become like little ones. And that is the first and the most significant secret of the kingdom. That we become like the little ones to understand the secrets of the kingdom. And the second one is also connected to it. But as if you had gone through the passage, you had listened carefully, it may look two separate things. Like first part is where he's saying that we have to be like little ones regarding our faith and all. The next thing is about a personal burden that we have to take. No. The second part where he says, come to me all who labor and burdened, are actually connected. He is taking the passage from the book of Old Testament, Sirach, chapter 51, verse 26 to 30, where the author of Sirach would say, bend your neck to the yoke, to her yoke, that is the yoke of the wisdom, and then you will be able to understand her teachings. It is that verse that Jesus is taking and explaining to us. The teachings that I am giving to you is not a burden like that which you would experience with regarding to your faith. He's speaking to the Jewish people, the ordinary Jewish people who are considering their faith as becoming a burden to them. And he's telling, it is not that. The teaching that I give to you is a yoke that I am giving to you, is my yoke. As we know, the dictionary meaning of a yoke is a wooden crossbar that is fastened to the neck of two animals. So when he says, I am giving you my yoke, the wonderful thing about this is the secret that we need to understand. This journey is not something about taking this burden and walking along in this path of faith, but rather it is walking along Christ. Because yoke is about two people. The one he has placed over us, but he has not left us alone. He says, I am there at your side, walking along with you in this path of faith. That is why Christian faith is not about a path that we are treading along, seeing nothing, or maybe following certain rules, but rather it is yoking ourselves to Christ and walking along with him. And in a very practical way that St. Paul explains in his letter to the Romans, what it is. Practically, it is about living the life in the Spirit, and rather than living a life in the flesh. What is the difference? Because if our way of living the life in the flesh is just about limiting to this world, where all that I aspire for, all that I want, if it ends and if it all ends within this world, then the end is of course death. But if my aspirations come from my spirit that is there within me, that doesn't end over here. And as St. Paul would say, it will give us, the reward will be life and peace. It is not death as in flesh, but rather life and peace. It is everlasting. So this is what the Lord wants us to understand. Our life along with Christ is not a burden. A Christian faith, a Christian belief, Christian life is not a burden that we have to take upon, but rather we have to be like children, bending ourselves to Christ and walking along with him, a life in the Spirit.